Knowing the protocols and childcare programs helps you manage your expectations so there are no major surprises when you start your child in a program. Having this insight, you can decide the best way to prepare your child for the new environment.
In my last video, I discussed the sleeping environment in childcare and how you can prepare your baby for the transition. If you haven't watched that video, be sure to check it out. I've linked it in the description below.
In this video, I'm sharing more insight on nap time protocols in childcare, specifically center protocols for putting babies down to sleep, and 3 tips to prepare your baby, including how to support your child's infant teachers to establish a consistent routine between home and daycare. In childcare, babies are required to sleep in a crib. They can fall asleep in a bouncy seat or a swing or in a teacher's arms, but as soon as they fall asleep, we have to transfer them to a crib. Trust me, this isn't out of convenience. As you probably know, more often than not, it's easier to leave them sleeping wherever they are. Don't disturb the peace! But per safe sleep regulations, which childcare programs are required to follow, babies must be transferred to a crib, which is a flat surface. I've worked in centers that have been cited by state licensors when they come for random inspections, and they are super strict on this regulation. One time they came back 2 times in the same week to ensure we were adhering to this policy, so there is no budge there. The reason is because when babies sleep in an incline, such as in a bouncy seat or swing or car seat, there is potential for their airway to become blocked and they can stop breathing. As you probably know, what's challenging is that many times when we move the babies from a car seat or a bouncy seat to their crib, they wake up and start crying.
Many times when I try to transfer them when they're in my arms, I'll lean over into the crib, lower them down ever so slowly while continuing to rock them, and then slowly moving my arms once they're laying on the mattress, like an inch a minute, really slowly until they fall into a deeper sleep and they don't even notice that my hands are no longer there.
I know at home it's sometimes much easier to just leave them sleeping wherever they are. And of course, you want to have those special moments when they're sleeping in your arms because, let's face it, that's just the best feeling. But most of the time, and all the more when you're getting closer to starting them in childcare, you'll want to get them in the habit of either falling asleep directly in the crib or transferring them as soon as they fall asleep. I know what you're thinking. Sometimes it's just not worth the battle, right? Especially if your child is a really light sleeper. And I get it. Some days you're like, I'm not moving them. It's just not worth it. I have too much to do. But whatever you can do, as much as you can do it, every little bit helps. This will make the transition to sleeping in childcare that much easier for them. Also, when placing them down to sleep, be sure to put them on their back. This is also part of safe sleep for babies under a year old and the safest position for them to sleep in as advised by the American Academy of Pediatrics. At centers as well, we're required to place them in the crib on their back. If they're able to roll over onto their side or on their stomach, that's fine, we won't move them back, but initially on their back. If you're doing this at home all along as well, it will be another consistent factor for transitioning to napping in childcare. But if they're used to sleeping on their tummy and aren't able to roll over yet, being placed on their back in childcare might frustrate them and cause a lot of tears. And lastly, when you start your child in a program, be sure to provide a detailed account of your child's sleeping habits. Any tips to help them fall asleep easier, what they like, what they don't like. For example, some babies fall asleep best when you just put them in the crib, leave them alone, they cry a little bit, but after a few minutes, they'll knock out. Other babies do best with some rocking or a little face rub or back rub or prefer to be held, which can't always happen depending on what's going on with the other babies in the classroom, but the teachers will try their best. For consistency, it's helpful to share this with the infant teachers so they can mimic the same thing for your baby, so your little one can feel more comfortable as they become familiar and adjust to their new caregivers. I also recommend providing those details in written form, either in a notebook, a piece of paper, by email, or through an app that the program may use. Even though you may fill in one of the teachers, but there may be 2 or 3 teachers in the classroom and all the information may not be relayed. There's also floater teachers covering lunch breaks that go in and out of multiple classrooms. There's also substitutes or admin who may be covering when teachers are out one day and they'll have no idea about this information. So if you can provide it in written form that any caregiver can refer to, it will be super helpful. Make sure you provide a written nap schedule as well, including their approximate nap times and how long they typically sleep. You should note if you want the teachers to wake them up after a certain period of time or if you want them to wake up naturally.
Let me know if these tips were helpful in the comments and if you have any other questions. Be sure to like and subscribe for more childcare tips and tricks for parents. See you next time and good luck.